have always focused on helping people get their money life in order so that they can do work they love. I'm excited to tell you that it is becoming more and more common for people to pursue their second career, possibly even their third career. The goal for me with financial independence is to pursue recreational employment. But what I really mean by that is you find work that you love so much that it feels like recreation when you're in it. Like you enjoy going to work every single day. Now, here's the snag though. For many of us who are in our late 30s and 40s, it can be really hard to make that transition because we've already become accustomed to a certain standard of living. And on top of that, we have kids, we have bills, we have mortgages, we have responsibilities to pay for. So it's not like we're these 20-something-year-olds that just popped out of college or high school and are able to just, have no care in the world and do whatever we want. We really have to have a plan, a strategy to get us into the next career. Here are the steps that I took and that I have helped other people take in order to get into a new career path that is meaningful to them. Step one is to take stock of where you currently are. You really have to understand, what does your current lifestyle cost? And in that lifestyle, how much of it is necessities, like we're talking mortgage, car payments, utilities, the things, food, the things that you need to live versus lifestyle luxuries and comforts. Understanding the difference between those two things and recognizing, A, this is how much it costs for me to have the core elements of my life. And then B, this is what it costs for me to live a life that is worthwhile to me. What does that look like? And then break those sort of like luxuries and comforts into two categories, the ones that you're willing to do without and the ones that you're unwilling to do without. Having a sense of what your full lifestyle costs, and then also understanding what elements of your lifestyle are a requirement for you no matter what, because you've just become accustomed to them and you're unwilling to sacrifice them, that is going to be step one. You have to know that. Step two is understanding the pay gap that you may experience. This could be a permanent pay gap, or this could be a temporary pay gap. Ways that you can think about this is, if you are starting your own business, what do you think the amount of time is before you'll have enough customers to meet your former pay amount? If you are starting, like let's say you're going into a VOTEC type position. My husband looked at becoming an electrician. There's a 2-year apprenticeship you have to go through where you make peanuts. And like I said, it might be a permanent pay gap. You might have found that your passion and your calling is in a career that just makes less than what you used to make. You have to know what those numbers are, and you have to know how it will affect your lifestyle going forward. And then you have to make a plan for that. You can do all of the analysis on your current lifestyle that you want, and you can do all of the learning about what is the next career you want to do, but without your partner's support, it is not going to fly. So step 3 is have a conversation with your partner or your spouse. When you're having that conversation, you want to make sure that A, they're on board and that they support you. And if they don't, that's a whole nother one. I'm not going to dig into that in this conversation, but let me know in the comments below if that's something you want to dig into in another video. You need to figure out if their salary alone can sustain your transition. If they can, well then, wowza, good for you. That's going to make this a lot easier. If they can't though, you have to have that conversation of, how can we make it where I can pursue this? And there's a couple different ways to do it, but one of the most important things is to look at that list that you had of necessities versus comforts and luxuries. It is going to be a significant comfort to your partner if they can see that you have a solid plan and that you're prepared to work toward it. Step 4 then is to pad your emergency fund and or create a runway account. That's exactly what my husband and I did. We already had a 6-month emergency fund, and what we did is we created another 6-month runway account. Now, the purpose of the runway account was to supplement our income if something happened to my husband's work and he wasn't able to get the same amount of money out of another job if he had to find another job. Okay, step 5, and this is an important one and it scares a lot of people, but you have to have a plan for insurance. The insurances that are the most important will be to make sure that you have something for medical insurance and that you have something for life insurance, especially if you are in that age where you still have young kids. Now, you guys know that we're a debt-free house. Like, our home is paid off and we carry no personal debt. We just have a little bit of business debt. And so for us, 500,000 was ample because it wasn't a situation where he would need enough money to then pay off the house. So remember, insurance, especially life insurance, is to protect yourself from risks. If you are still having a house payment and you're still carrying a lot of debt and you're not willing to pay those debts off before you begin your career transition, then I would recommend that you get a life insurance policy that will cover those debts so that if something happens to you, your spouse can wipe those things out and then not have to worry about making any hard financial decisions while they're also grieving. The medical insurance one I have found is not nearly as scary. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. As a matter of fact, my dominant client is somebody who has left a corporate position and has opened their own business. And all of these people have managed to get health insurance. You can go to the marketplace, which is, used to be called Obamacare, and it's government supported and it's based on your income level. And then on top of that, there are brokers, health insurance brokers that exist out there, and they can help you find private health insurance as well. If you are really afraid that you are not going to be making a lot of money while you're in this transitional period, that shouldn't be a big fear because Marketplace will give you a lot of options that'll be income based. However, you cannot use Marketplace if your spouse has access to health insurance. So for example, even though I am building my own business, I am not eligible to go to Marketplace because my husband still has access to health insurance through his corporate work /severance. Step number 6 is to start all of these processes before you leave your employer. If, for example, I'll give you a for instance for me. I knew that I wanted to be a financial coach before I actually left my tech management job. I was certified through Dave Ramsey's Financial Coach Master Training. I took that training and I started taking beta clients or initial clients before I even left. So I was actually coaching people for over a year before I gave my notice for work and left the company that I was with. There are things that you can do that will help you get to the place where you need to be able to more nimbly respond to the career change so that you don't feel like you're starting from scratch when you do leave your corporate job behind. And that's what you don't want. I will tell you that one of the things that slows people and completely destroys their ability to make a solid transition is when they don't have a solid plan in place. They leave their corporate job thinking they'll create the plan, but then they get really comfortable not having to deal with anything. And they kind of have a little bit of a PTSD response to that old job, and they're just coping through it, and they're getting therapy, and they're really doing a lot of self-work and healing, but they're not making any progress and any movement. And then what ends up happening is they run out of money and they haven't built their new career yet. They haven't even started it. And now they're in a mad scramble to try to get back into their old career. This is what we don't want for you. So make the plan, start the process before you go, start doing a little bit of work in the field that you want to be. And whether that work be training, education, already starting to take some clients, whatever it is that you need to do to get that ball rolling so that when you leave that corporate job, even if you take a month or two off to rest, you can immediately get right at it and have some people to talk to straight away. And that leads me to step 7, which is just pull the trigger and do it. I was such a chicken. I gave a 2-month notice. I knew I was going to leave my job in October of 2019. October of 2019. I didn't leave until July of 2020. I was beyond prepared. We paid off our debt. We had the runway account. I was ready. I had done everything I said I was going to do. I worked my plan perfectly, and then I froze up. I completely chickened out. And I have to tell you that having the courage to pull the trigger and just have that leap of faith, that is probably the hardest step. It was the hardest step for me. On the other side of it, looking back, I'm so grateful that I did it. But I will tell you that if you follow these 7 steps, you will be able to get into a new career, and I would love to hear your story. For those of you who are interested, this is something that I actively coach people on. You're welcome to reach out to me. The link to schedule a conversation and consultation with me is in the description box below. I would be happy to speak with you. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you in the next video. Bye.